Ladies and gentlemen, what is up, and welcome today to part 3 of the Abyss of Legends boss breakdown, featuring all of the champions that you really did not want to see inside the Abyss. So today we got 17 champions, all in their own way are a massive pain to deal with, even at 500,000 health, let alone 2.7 million. But that is the good news today, if you want to call it good news, is that all of these bosses, in comparison to the 25 that we've talked about so far in part 1 and part 2 have just under half the health in comparison. So a lot of the other bosses have about 6 million, whereas these ones only have 2.7 million. So it's still a lot of health. It's still, you know, pretty much an average Labyrinth of Legends big boss there. But at least it's not 6 million. So there's a very, very small side there. And also it seems per class, all of these really annoying characters share like the same class ability. So Havok has the same as Mr. Sinister and also a Mega Red as well. But let's have a chat about some of these abilities, man. Now, when it comes to the mutants, for each bar of power that they fill, they trigger a passive fury for the duration of their special attacks, increasing their attack by 7.5%. Also, every crit that you land on them or they land on you, their power rate increases by 1% for the rest of the fight. So that is not going to start off too bad, but it's going to get quite crazy quite quickly. However, against Havok, that might be potentially a good thing, because ideally you want to like continually push this man to his special 2 and then just bait that out to dump the charges. So maybe that's going to be alright versus Havok, a bit more annoying versus like Mr. Sinister and Omega Red, but also if you get hit by the specials, man, you are pretty much dead anyway because of the Labyrinth node as well. And this is, I think, where the Labyrinth node, if you get hit by a special, you're guaranteed to get stunned. So with a lot of these annoying to evade newer defenders, man, this is going to be a pain, especially when it comes to stuff like Havok's special 1 and also Korg's special 1 as well, who is our next opponent here. Korg, oh man, is a terrifying champion, even at a couple of 100,000 hit points, let alone 2.7 million there. So I'm not looking forward to this fight, especially if you fail on the special 1. You're guaranteed pretty much to get KO'd, you get stunned and wrecked there. But also Korg and the skill champions, they have this node where the attacker has minus 100% offensive ability accuracy except during special attacks. So I think this removes, I don't know if this removes like Namor from the equation and his ability to reflect the damage there, and you need champions that just have energy damage to kind of counter this man. I guess you can kind of play around Korg with any champion just by using like light attacks and getting around the rock shield that way. But I think one champion that is going to work quite well against Korg is our man Dr. Doom, because he's got a lot of special attacks, man. And yeah, doesn't make contact on the mediums to get the rock shield detonation damage there. So I think he should be quite well, but it depends how this whole, you know, offensive ability accuracy works. But Korg, I think, is going to be really tricky with the special 1, because if you get clipped, you're stunned and then you're dead. And yeah, it's just a massive version of Korg there, so I imagine that's going to be a very annoying fight. Then next up, we have Thing, who's an exceptionally fun champion to fight, but this man, just in the game files at the moment, according to Otriux, does not have any unique ability or class ability, so this guy is just like a really big version of Thing at the moment, but the other science champions do, and he's the only one of these champions without like a class ability here, so a little bit weird there. I'm curious to see what he's got in store, but yeah, a 2.7 million Thing, man, that's going to be a very, very chunky lad there. I imagine Aegon is probably going to be a pretty decent counter though. So yeah, we'll see how that one works out. We've also got a very stacked version of Mr. Sinister, so 2.7 million there, with the regeneration, the special attacks, the power gain. This fight is going to be really, really annoying, I would imagine. I think like Warlock could work quite well. Also Guillotine 2099, I would say, are going to be favorable options for this man. Also Human Torch as well, I think is going to be a very decent counter to Mr. Sinister, just because when you incinerate and apply all of those effects to Mr. Sinister and he uses the special 1 and transfers them back to you, then it just gives you like loads of stacks of smolder. So I think Human Torch could be a really good counter there, or way to deal with that fight. But yeah, we'll have to see on that one. And then we've got a Mega Red as well. You know, maybe Guillotine, maybe Warlock, maybe any champion's going to work just to power through this man. But also the increased power gain is going to make him like very annoying to deal with, because unless you have a robot, I think he's going to be at that special 2 a lot of the time once you get into this fight. But I think either way, you can probably just power through this one, so it might not be too bad. But yeah, it is a beefy version of Omega Red as well. Now, next up, we have the Cosmic characters, and they have a very weird ability. So gain an unstoppable buff every 30 seconds that lasts for 15 seconds. And if you nullify a buff on the defender, reset the timer to trigger another unstoppable. So I don't think you can nullify this unstoppable, because as soon as you do, it just re-triggers itself. Maybe champions like Symbiote Supreme, Clairvoyant, and maybe Doctor Doom as well. Maybe they have enough nullify to actually make these fights possible, but it's really hard to say without seeing it. So I think you might need to use a champion like She-Hulk or Spider-Gwen or Stealth Suit Spider-Man to apply a slow to these kind of opponents to deal with them. But you got like Medusa, Hyperion, and the champion. So I'm not too sure how these fights are exactly going to work, but they seem like they're going to be additionally annoying there. So you might need a slow character to deal with any of these fights, because yeah, like 15 seconds unstoppable every 30 seconds, that is a lot of uptime there. But also, you don't have a Limber node in the Abyss, so maybe you can just like parry 3 combo or parry 2 combo. But honestly, man, I do not know how you're going to get through some of these fights. I'm very curious to see, though. I think there are some counters there. And then we got the Mystic champions. So we got a super stacked version of Mephisto, everybody's favorite man here. So Mephisto and the Mystics have every 10 buffs that expire or are nullified on the attacker, you place a Fate Seal debuff on them, nullifying all of their buffs and preventing more from 15 seconds. But if this Fate Seal gets removed, it instantly deals 100% of the defender's attack as direct damage, and I assume you die instantly there. So, no Aegon, I think, for this node against any of the Mystic champions. I think that's like an Aegon counter node there, if it can be shrugged off, because you're instantly going to detonate and die. So, yeah, you just need like a really good like counter to Mephisto. Like Human Torch with his pre-fight ability works really well, but without his pre-fight ability, and there's going to be a lot of time if you're just doing this with Human Torch, is not going to work so great. So maybe Havok, maybe a little bit of Void on this one. Quake might work as well against Mephisto. But yeah, it's just going to be a very, very annoying fight. So I'm curious to see what works for Mephisto there. Then next up, as briefly mentioned earlier, we've got a very stacked up version of Hyperion, who has exactly the same node that all the Cosmics do in this video. So gain an unstoppable buff every 30 seconds that lasts for 15 seconds there, and if you nullify it, it re-triggers itself as well. So I would say that I think She-Hulk, just due to the ability to continually bait out those special attacks, reverse the healing, counter unstoppable, I think she's going to be a really, really good counter to this man. And I'm curious, I reckon you could probably quite easily get a She-Hulk one-shot if you're playing fairly aggressively against this fight, but you know, it depends on the Fury RNG there, but I think She-Hulk, man, is going to have a lot of value in that matchup as well. And then we've got MODOK up next. And MODOK and Invisible Woman, they share the same node. So when the attacker or the defender fill a bar of power, so this is going to be triggering like all of the time, man. The attacker is inflicted with a Power Sting passive for 15 seconds, which consumes itself, dealing 600 direct damage if the attacker launches a special attack before it expires. It's also got increased ability accuracy, so it's pretty much like guaranteed to land there, unless maybe you've got a high combo Aegon. Maybe you can mitigate it and only have it half the time there, but you're probably gonna have to deal with this, like, you know, pretty much all the time. So if you do not expire this Power Sting as well, you get a stun debuff lasting 5 seconds. Now the damage is a little bit on the smaller side, but again, the stun, man, if you let one of these fly, you are just absolutely ruined. I think Nick Fury is probably gonna be the best counter to this MODOK, and definitely on Invisible Woman. And this is because in that second phase, Nick Fury is immune to stun, so I think you can just ignore the Power Sting there. So yeah, I think it's going to work out all right, man. A couple of special ones on Nick Fury, eat a little bit of the Power Sting damage, and then just play really well and don't die, I think is the plan to go against these two. But again, these fights seem like they are not going to be a fun time. I'm probably dreading like MODOK the most out of all the Science Champions. champions, because that auto block, it is a bit of a pain, man. It is a bit of a pain. And also, again, Invisible Woman, she actually has a lot less health than a few other opponents here. She only has 6.1 million, but I guess as well with Invisible Woman, you do have the massive force field. So maybe that's going to make this fight even worse there. Is it going to be like a 200,000 fight? It can't be that much, right? Oh my, it might be, man. It might be. So maybe thinking about it, Invisible Woman is going to suck, but I think Nick Fury is going to be a really, really good counter to her as well. So yeah, that one's going to be a pain. But also in the tech class, man, we have Darkhawk. So Darkhawk and also the other tech champion in this video. I feel like we are missing one tech champion from today's breakdown. That might be another surprise defender, probably Sentinel if I were to bet on it. So each time the defender is struck while under the effect of an armor up buff, they gain a charge lasting indefinitely. At 10 charges, the defender steals all of the attacker's current power. So at the start of the fight, they also gain an armor up buff. If it is removed, it will return after 15 seconds, and this lasts indefinitely unless you break it. So the idea is that you can't do more than 10 hits against this opponent unless you armor break them, or else they're just going to steal your power. So I don't know, you might be able to power through this with Aegon. It also doesn't mention like how powerful this armor up buff is as well, so we're gonna have to see. But I think Aegon gets to a certain stage where he ignores like physical resistance and maybe armor as well. So maybe Aegon is the way to go. Maybe you are gonna have to bring in some sort of armor break champion, maybe Medusa, Hyperion. I imagine Medusa actually could be quite good for a stacked up version of Darkhawk, because he's a robot, shut him down, but also it's that fact of like you can't bring everybody to the Abyss of Legends on day one, but maybe for like additional runs, you know, maybe that's going to work. I'm not really too sure, but yeah, that Darkhawk fight does look very annoying, because Darkhawk is a horrible, horrible champion to fight with that special 1 and special 2. There's no good thing to bait out really, but also maybe Human Torch, because like blocking that special 1, you gain a lot of smolder charges because it's energy damage. So I don't know, man, maybe that is a way to go about that fight. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to Darkhawk, man. He's a horrible champion to fight. Also Mephisto, again, I think there's only one Mephisto, man. There might be 2 though, so who knows, but I think there is only 1 knocking about. But there's also a very stacked version of Mordo, so again has the same node as Mephisto. So every 10 buffs that expire or are nullified, place a Fate Seal debuff on the opponent. In all honesty, man, I think Human Torch is going to be beast mode for Mordo. I think Nick Fury is going to get the job done as well. It's just that you can't use a champion like Aegon that has a lot of buffs. Like maybe Dr. Doom as well is going to work quite nicely for Mordo. He's not a bad counter there. So yeah, we'll have to see how this one turns out, but it's a very beefed up version of Mordo. And then we've got an equally beefed up version of Dormammu as well. I am not looking forward to the degen damage on this fight. I don't think that's going to be a very fun time at all. I think Human Torch is maybe the way to go. Maybe a little bit of Dr. Doom could potentially work on this fight as well, just playing very aggressively. But yeah, I'm not really too sure. I think Human Torch might be the way to go when it does come to a very stacked up version of Dormammu there. Also Aegon, with the additional ability of the attacker, has minus 100% offensive ability accuracy except during special attacks. So I think most champions should be able to work against Aegon in all fairness, but I think maybe like Dr. Doom, Symbiote Supreme, because Aegon has so many buffs, so many furies that you can siphon for additional damage, especially with the special attack. Symbiote Supreme, you nullify everything, and on Dr. Doom's special 1, you've got a lot of nullify there as well, so maybe those champions are going to shine quite nicely in that fight, but it's a little bit hard to tell. But I think really anybody could work for Aegon potentially. And then we've got Iron Man Infinity War, 2.7 million Iron Man there, who has the same armor buff node as well, which I think is going to make his auto block even more annoying, because, you know, it's only like 3 stacks of his passive armor, and then he's going to start auto blocking, which is remarkably fun there. But yeah, I'm not really too sure for Iron Man. Maybe Hyperion's going to be a pretty decent counter. Maybe people are going to bring in like a stacked up version of Corvus Glaive and just chip down these fights as well. It is a little bit hard to say currently. Maybe Aegon as well, I think, is just going to butcher through this potentially. But yeah, we're going to have to see. My bets would probably be on Aegon though, thinking about this one on Darkhawk. But yeah, these are not going to be fun champions to fight at 2.7 million. We also got the champion with the, you know, like every 30 seconds gain a 15-second unstoppable. So my bets would be that She-Hulk, again, is going to be a really decent counter for this one, and also Hyperion there. I hope that, like, all of these characters are on the same path as their class, so you can kind of, like, build a counter to certain champions, or a couple of counters. So, you know, you have, like, 6 ways to go. It's either, like, mutant, cosmic, skill, or science, or that. So I kind of hope it's set up like that, so you can at least, like, plan your team, and that all these champions are mixed and matched with, like, even more, like, 6 million health characters on the outskirts as well. Then finally we have Killmonger. So Killmonger has this very annoying skill node as well, so I'm not really too sure who's going to be the best option when it comes to Killmonger. I feel like this offensive ability accuracy might like really mess with Aegon as well, but I'm not 100% certain on that one. So yeah, we'll have to see. Maybe Old Man Logan can't have his ability accuracy reduction reduced there. I don't think people are probably going to want to bring in Old Man Logan for Abyss level fights, but who knows, man? It's certainly good work there. So yeah, I'm not really too sure, but let me know your thoughts to some of these fights in the comments section below. I think there's definitely like so much going on, and so much that we're just not going to anticipate until we actually see a lot of these fights in the game. But this has definitely made me a lot more scared for the Abyss of Legends, because looking at a lot of the bigger fights, there were fairly obvious counters, whereas with all these like additional nodes on already like very challenging defenders with ridiculous health pools as well, I think this is going to be a little bit mad. So let me know your thoughts as to who you believe are going to be some of the best counters to some of these really annoying defenders in the Abyss of Legends. But aside from that, hopefully you enjoyed today's breakdown video and an early look. Once again, mad love to Otriux, so digging up all this information and sending it over. It's always good to have a little bit of a heads up as to what we are going to be facing. But aside from that, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.